Isaiah chapter 20 begins with a dramatic and symbolic act of prophecy against Egypt and Ethiopia. In the year that Tartan invaded Ashdod, God commanded the prophet Isaiah to go barefoot and unclothed for 3 years as a sign of the humiliation and captivity that Egypt and Ethiopia would soon experience. This act of public display was meant to demonstrate the disgrace that would fall upon these nations when they were defeated by Assyria. Isaiah's actions were a vivid and uncomfortable portrayal of the humiliation awaiting the nations that had relied on their alliances for protection, but would ultimately be defeated. The chapter then details the specific message God wanted to convey through this act. Isaiah prophesied that the people of Egypt and Ethiopia, who had placed their hope in military alliances, would be carried away as captives by the Assyrians. They would be led away barefoot and naked, just as Isaiah had been, in a state of shame and disgrace. The Egyptian and Ethiopian leaders, who had hoped to use their alliance to resist Assyria, would find themselves powerless in the face of Assyrian might. Their pride and reliance on foreign alliances would prove futile, and they would be exposed as helpless before God's judgment. In verses 4 to 6, the prophecy shifts to a warning to the people of Judah. Isaiah explains that the Egyptians and Ethiopians, who were once seen as a powerful support against Assyria, will be utterly defeated. The people of Judah are warned not to rely on these nations for help, as they too will fall into captivity. The defeat of Egypt and Ethiopia will be a stark lesson for Judah about the futility of trusting in human alliances and military strength instead of in God. The people of Judah must learn that only God can provide true security, and that trusting in earthly powers will lead to disappointment and failure. The chapter concludes with a sobering reminder of God's sovereignty and the consequences of misplaced trust. The fall of Egypt and Ethiopia will not only be a historical event but also a lesson for the nations. Isaiah's prophecy serves as a clear indication that God's judgment is inevitable for those who put their hope in anything other than Him. The chapter emphasizes that while alliances and military strength may seem promising, they are ultimately powerless against God's will, and it is only in God's guidance and protection that true security can be found. Let's now read Isaiah chapter 20. In the year that Tartan came unto Ashdod, when Sargon the king of Assyria sent him, and fought against Ashdod, and took it. At the same time spake the Lord by Isaiah the son of Amoz, saying, Go and loose the sackcloth from off thy loins, and put off thy shoe from thy foot. And he did so, walking naked and barefoot. And the Lord said, Like as my servant Isaiah hath walked naked and barefoot 3 years for a sign and wonder upon Egypt and upon Ethiopia. So shall the king of Assyria lead away the Egyptians prisoners, and the Ethiopians captives, young and old, naked and barefoot, even with their buttocks uncovered, to the shame of Egypt. And they shall be afraid and ashamed of Ethiopia their expectation, and of Egypt their glory. And the inhabitant of this isle shall say in that day, Behold, such is our expectation, whither we flee for help to be delivered from the king of Assyria, and how shall we escape? This ends our reading of Isaiah chapter 20.